morning. My name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting another update from Eskay Mining, which trades on the Toronto Venture Stock Exchange under the symbol ESK. Joining me again this morning is Eskay's director, Dr. Quinton Hennigh. Quinton, how are you doing today?
Very good, Megan. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Quinton, to start things off, could you give our listeners an overview of Eskay Mining and your 100% controlled consolidated project in the Golden Triangle of British Columbia?
Certainly. Look, we are well positioned in the Golden Triangle. Property is a bit over 500 square kilometers, right in the heart of the district. So you have Eskay Mine, for example, immediately adjacent to us to the north. And then you have deposits that are well known to most people, like Brucejack, for example, to the southeast, and then Sulfurettes also to the east. And then you have Tudor's new discovery, which is to the immediate northeast. So we have something like 120 million ounces of gold within a very few kilometers of the property boundary in all directions. It's a really remarkable position.
Now, this year we saw the company take a more boots-on-the-ground approach to exploration. Can you give us an overview of this campaign and perhaps the strategy for this phase of exploration for Eskay?
Yeah, look, we decided to conserve cash, first of all, this year. The company does have a couple $1 million in cash remaining at this point, but we wanted to do some more boots on the ground work this year, recognizing the market's soft, but trying to be as impactful as possible, to generate new targets and understand things that we've drilled recently too. So we spent a better part of a few weeks, probably about 4.5, 5 weeks, working in various select areas across the property. Obviously, we can't cover it all, but we decided to hit areas that we've drilled previously, like Scarlet Knob, Tarn Lake, and then TV Extension, as well as Cumberland. And then we tackled new areas, like down south. We've now identified new zones, like around the C10 and Vermilion area, which is known already. But I think we found a new style of mineralization down there. Lulu, we haven't touched for a long time, but we decided to go back and revisit that, especially in light of the fact that Skeena is now under construction at Eskay Mine.
Now, some of the standout results came from work in the southern target area of the project that included C10, Vermilion, and the new TM zone. Can you walk us through some of the findings in this area?
Yeah, certainly. Back in 2020, when I first started helping Eskay in earnest, we did a BLEG program. BLEG program is basically a stream sediment type program across not all of the property, but much of it. Okay, so this map that you see on the right-hand side, those colors are basically reflecting the gold values that we found in the drainages from a pretty broad swath across the property, almost half of it, say. And down in the south there, you can see, your eye just gravitates right to it. Around C10 and Vermilion, there were quite a few drainages, which really highlighted very high gold values. For BLEG samples, these are kind of off the chart. Usually when you see numbers like this, there's a discovery to be found nearby. Now, we didn't get all of the ground in that area BLEG sampled. The area kind of to the immediate east of Vermilion and kind of southwest and stuff, there's still some white areas that simply weren't BLEG. But this did tell us that there was some very high-grade mineralization likely to be found in that general catchment region. Okay, well, here you can see some of the wonderful things that we discovered at C10 and Vermilion area. We found, really for the first time, recognized outcropping, high-grade mineralization that probably explains those BLEG samples. Those BLEG anomalies are real, and they're probably coming from what we discovered. We found shear zones. The shear zones often have stockwork quartz veining with sulfides, and then we also found discrete quartz veins with abundant sulfides. And these samples that were collected here, albeit this is the first pass, and these are spot rock chips for the most part, sometimes float samples, they yielded very high-grade results. You can see the photograph on the right-hand side shows you a close-up of this mineralization. And that sample graded 205 gram per ton gold, along with appreciable copper. There's copper in this system as well. So we think we found basically a whole new style of mineralization down here. The results that we have from C10 and Vermilion are presented here. A lot of the highlight assays from individual samples are tabulated at the bottom on the left. We collected around 102 rock chip samples across this area. And of those, a lot of them yielded very high grade results. You can see everything from, say, 15.95 gram per ton gold and 2.85% copper on the lowest end, up to 205 gram per ton gold and 0.7% copper on the higher end in that list of select high grades that we have. This is a unique style of mineralization. It looks to be something new. It looks to be something that needs to be explored further. So we're very excited, very excited. And now, in addition to that C10 Vermilion area, we also found what we now call the TM zone. This is a new area of high-grade veins. It's a bit to the east and slightly to the south of Vermilion, but it's showing the same style of mineralization, same kind of veining and stuff. So now we're talking about something that has, a system that has clearly, covers a few square kilometers of area where we're finding these veins. Here you can see from the TM zone, we got as good or even better results than we saw over at Vermilion. It's really impressive. Not as much copper in these samples. Okay, these are primarily precious metal-rich samples, but I think they're texturally and mineralogically they look like the same material. I think they're all part of the same system, and I think this really tells us we need to focus and do a lot more work. One thing I would remind people is that the Brucejack mine is not too far to the east of us from this part of the property. Okay, so am I saying this is the next Brucejack? No, I can't say that immediately, but it's really intriguing to think that we're finding high-grade veins with gold in really the first recognition of this style of mineralization in an area that we already know there's one high-grade deposit that's being mined right now. So, we're quite excited about getting back and doing some more work here.
Now, the company also returned to the Scarlet Knob Tarn Lake area where the company had previously explored in 2022 and 2023. Can you discuss some of Eskay's previous work in the area and results from the 2024 campaign?
Yeah, look, we identified these targets in, by and large, late 2021, early 2022. And they were subject to some drilling that we did in 2022, but we also followed up with drilling in 2023. We didn't have a lot of budget to throw up this in 2023, but we drilled enough holes to say, yeah, there's a significant system here. You can see from this image, for example, a lot of surface samples. The gold values are shown in the scale bar on the right hand side there, but a lot of surface samples that are strongly anomalous in gold. There's up to, I think, highest grade sample is 56.9 grams per ton, which is over there towards the right hand side of the image. But this told us we have a pretty strong anomaly here. There is a glacier that cuts the area in two, so you basically have Scarlet Knob on the right hand side and you got Tarn Lake on the left hand, which is west. What's underneath? Well, we started to think more a bit harder about how these might be linked. We felt that maybe that was a stack system and that the trend was north-south. We did drill some holes. You can see the traces in this image of some of the holes we drilled. We did hit anomalous values in many of these holes. And, I think in one of the holes in particular over on the Tarn Lake side, we did have an intercept. I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was, say, on the order of 10, 12 meters of pretty significant gold silver mineralization that looks very similar to, say, the Eskay Creek style. Okay, so very excited about this, but we weren't able to follow up on the results after the 2023 drilling until this program, and the guys came in and they basically now feel that there's a new trend that we should evaluate here, and I'm going to kind of highlight that here. If you look at the results and the pattern they're generating, we now think the trend perhaps goes like this across the area, something more like that. And if so, the drilling that we did here previously probably wasn't optimally oriented to test that thesis. Okay, So we're having to rethink about this. Certainly enough mineralization, and it is of the Eskay Creek style. It's basically VMS style that we feel there's more work warranted here.
You also completed work in 3 other target areas that include Cumberland, TV Extension, and SIB Lulu. Can you briefly highlight some of the data collected in this 2024 Boots on the Ground campaign?
Yeah, look, we did get back to Cumberland, for example. We drilled that late last year. Cumberland yielded some pretty good drill holes. We had, I think, 15 meters of 3-gram gold. It also had appreciable silver and base metals out of one of the VMS intercepts there. And we know we need to do more follow-up. I think the team, when they visited this site this year, came to the conclusion that the VMS itself strikes kind of northwest, and that it's dipping back to the east-northeast at a fairly steep angle. And that if more drill pads were to be planned here to further test this, we should step off to the east and drill back towards to the west, we'll call it more or less, to test this thing properly, test more extent of it. And it is open to the north and south. There's evidence, at least geologic evidence, that this thing should carry on across the creek there and go further to the north. We know in that direction this thing is trending straight back to the TV area, for example. So it might be that this is linked up with the TV target. I think we have a little bit of information that we gathered from TV as well. We saw some outcrop and took some samples that appear to be on strike with TV. So there appears to be a legitimate reason for extension there now. Not huge results in terms of values, but to see this with the limited outcrop we have in this area and see that we're getting some solid gold silver results in this area is encouraging. There was a gabbro dike that we established, kind of truncates the area that we were drilling at TV back in, say, 2022. We now at gabbro and then follow up thing to the south. Again, if you look to the south, there's a lot of runway between this and the Cumberland target, which is a few kilometers south. So, you can imagine there might be a corridor still open of VMS prospectivity between TV and Cumberland. And then the last area that we did some work is at SIB Lulu. Okay, SIB and Lulu are prospects that are on the west side of the Eskay anticline. They are on strike with the ground that Skeena has. So the red polygons that you see here are basically outlining grounds owned by Eskay Mining. But we know immediately to the northeast along strike is where Skeena is now building the new Eskay Creek mine. And the SIB and Lulu prospects are natural extensions of the same mineralization that Skeena has. Okay, we took some more samples and re-examined this area. I'm not going to say there's any huge revelations that were uncovered here, but one of the things that the team who looked at this concluded is there is more justification for drilling. Right now, the drill spacing in this area, albeit historic, some of it is quite old. It's like 20 plus years old. It's fairly wide space, and that's given the nature of the deposits of Skeena, we know that if you start to have drill spacing, say over 200 meters, you could easily miss things in this part of the world. So we think more tightly spaced drilling is warranted. But we also the team also recognized that a lot of that earlier drilling that was done here was pretty small diameter core, and the recoveries were kind of hit or miss. Plus, the sampling was not systematic through the entire lengths of the drill holes. And based on that, their recommendation is that we should really come back in here and re-drill some of the existing holes, because they think that we could show much more continuity, especially in context of what Skeena has adjacent to us. And I know this is it's a pretty hotly contested piece of ground in terms of its history. It probably does have a significant part of that system, right? So more exploration certainly warranted here.
Well, Quinton, to cap things off, can you quickly provide us with your overall thoughts of this campaign for the company?
Yeah, look, this really gave us some new openings to pursue in 2025. We're hopeful that the market is indeed finally turning, and we kind of want to get our legs back underneath us. We have been very cautious about spending money. It's different companies take different philosophies when the markets are soft like this, but we have been conservative, and we have some cash to build off and get going next year, which is really good. The targets that we've identified, especially down south, I think it really opened up some new prospects, new opportunities for us. The Vermilion area, along with that new TM discovery, I mean that's a very large system. The Blegs certainly tell us there's something big down there. We need to put some more effort into that, perhaps even drill it next year. Up at Scarlet Knob and Tarn Lake, with the trajectory of the VMS system as we now understand it, we can also see some opportunity there to go back and perhaps retest that area in a more meaningful way. So looking at the entire property here, we got a lot to do. We got the ground between TV and Cumberland to explore. We got testing that we can do up to Scarlet Knob to drill in different orientation. We got closer space drilling that we can do up at Lulu and hopefully find bona fide extensions and ore bodies akin to what Skeena has. And now we got the really hot and trendy looking, call it new discovery down around Vermilion and TM, the high grade veins that we found. So very good season, very good prospectivity has been coming up, and we're now ready for 2025.
Perfect. Thanks again, Quinton. We're looking forward to having you back on again soon with more exciting updates from Eskay.
Thanks, Megan.